The patrol car's dash cam records the time as 18:51 as the emergency lights activate behind a black Audi under a CVS sign. Am I being detained? The black Audi with out-of-county plates turns right into the well-lit parking lot. The car stops about 40 feet from the glass doors of the CVS. The engine cuts off. 2 hands are placed on the steering wheel at the 10 and 2 o'clock positions. Officer Ryan Miller's body cam shows the red recording light is off before he approaches the driver's side window. A security camera mounted on the CVS wall captures a wide-angle view of the entire parking area. Officer Ryan Miller taps on the glass with his flashlight. Officer Kevin Blake stands by the passenger side door, about 5 feet from the front of the car. The driver slowly lowers the window. The driver's license and rental agreement are on the dashboard. License and registration. Daniel Carter hands the documents through the opening. He asks, "What's the reason for the stop?" Ryan Miller takes the papers. Doesn't answer right away. He looks at the license plate. Then, into the car. 3 customers in the parking lot turn to look toward the patrol car. A woman standing near the CVS entrance raises her phone to record. "You were weaving." Daniel Carter keeps his hands on the steering wheel. He says, "I was staying in my lane." Ryan Miller leans closer to the window. Officer Kevin Blake glances at the raised phone. The distance between the 2 officers and the car is less than 3 feet. The parking lot, lights, are on and steady. No other cars are moving nearby. "Get out of the car," Daniel Carter replies. "Am I being detained?" Ryan Miller says, "Yes." The driver asks, "On what grounds?" Officer Kevin Blake looks at Ryan Miller, but says nothing. The 3 bystanders continue to record from different angles. A pickup truck stops at the entrance to the lot. The camera on the CVS roof records the entire scene from above. Ryan Miller places his hand on his duty belt. He takes half a step back, then moves closer to the window again. He says, "Don't argue with me." Daniel Carter still has both hands on the steering wheel. He doesn't open the door. There are no objects in his hands, besides the papers he already handed over. The rental agreement is still in Ryan Miller's hand. Officer Kevin Blake looks toward the group of people recording. He quietly tells Miller they're being filmed. Ryan Miller takes the radio from his shoulder and keys the mic to call for backup. A voice on the radio confirms the request for backup at Route 41. CVS parking lot. 30 seconds pass. No movement from the driver. His hands are still in the same position. Ryan Miller moves right up to the glass again. He shines his flashlight onto the dashboard. Final warning. Get out of the car. Daniel Carter says, "I am not resisting." Officer Kevin Blake holds his position by the passenger door. A woman moves closer. About 16 feet from the car. Her phone shows a live stream icon. A man standing on a porch across the street. About 65 feet away. Raise his phone. Ryan Miller punches the driver's side window once. The sound of the impact is clear on the video. A spiderweb crack appears on the glass. He punches it a second time. The glass shatters into small pieces, falling onto the seat and the car floor. The security camera captures the glass falling onto the pavement. Officer Kevin Blake opens the door from the outside as the central lock unlocks. Ryan Miller grabs Daniel Carter by the collar of his suit jacket. The driver's hands come off the steering wheel as he's pulled from the seat. His leather shoes hit the concrete of the parking lot. One of the bystanders steps back 3 paces as the car door swings open. Ryan Miller holds Daniel Carter's right arm behind his back. Officer Kevin Blake takes the other arm. Metal handcuffs are removed from a pouch on his hip. 3 other patrol cars. Lights flashing. Pull into the lot and stop in a line behind them. Daniel Carter is forced face down onto the pavement. About 3 feet from the car door, the handcuffs are secured behind his back. The CVS roof camera records the moment the cuffs click shut. The handcuffs are locked behind Daniel Carter's back as the 3 patrol cars stop in a line behind the black Audi. Officer Ryan Miller stands up, keeping one hand on the cuffs. Officer Kevin Blake holds the other arm. An unmarked car stops about 25 feet from the scene. Captain Robert Hayes gets out, looking at the broken window and the glass on the pavement. Subject is non-compliant. Ryan Miller says over the radio. He gestures toward the car door. Officer Kevin Blake adds nothing. The 3 bystanders are still standing 16 to 33 feet away, their phones held at eye level. The CVS roof security camera continues to record. Captain Robert Hayes asks, "Did you run a breathalyzer?" Ryan Miller replies, "Refused." Daniel Carter is lying face down on the concrete. His hands are secured behind him. No testing device was brought out. No field sobriety test was administered. Officer Kevin Blake leans down and checks the pockets of the suit jacket. He takes out a leather wallet and places it on the hood of the patrol car. Captain Robert Hayes looks at the group of people filming. He signals for another officer to stand between them and the scene. The distance between Carter and the car door is about 3 feet. Shattered glass is scattered around the front left tire. Ryan Miller pulls Carter into a sitting position. The handcuffs are still on. Officer Kevin Blake opens the back door of the patrol car. They hold him by each shoulder and guide him into the back seat. The car door closes. The emergency lights are still on. Another officer opens the Audi's door. The front seat is covered in broken glass. A black briefcase is on the passenger seat. A laptop, a charger, and a water bottle are in the console between the seats. No contraband is visibly. Captain Robert Hayes says, "Search the vehicle." Officer Kevin Blake and 2 other officers begin the search. They open the trunk. The rental agreement is in the glove compartment. The driver's license comes back valid in the system. No outstanding warrants show up on the patrol car's computer screen. Ryan Miller walks back to his car and opens the front door. He writes in his notebook. Officer Kevin Blake continues to search the interior for 8 minutes. An officer shines a flashlight under the seats. No items are seized as evidence. One of the 3 bystanders shouts that they got the whole thing on video. The officer blocking their view tells them to step back another 6 feet. The phones stay up. After the search is complete, Captain Robert Hayes closes the Audi's trunk. He walks over to the patrol car where Daniel Carter is in the back. The door is opened for a few seconds to check the handcuffs. The cuffs are still in place. Ryan Miller says, "Obstruction and resisting a public officer." Captain Robert Hayes nods. He signals for the cars to leave the lot. 3 patrol cars. Lights on. Move out of the area. The black Audi is locked and left in the parking lot under the lights. The clock on the patrol car's dashboard reads 19:14 as the car pulls into the lot behind the Deerfield Police Headquarters. The back door opens. Daniel Carter is taken out of the car, his hands still cuffed behind him. The distance from the car to the back door of the station is about 30 feet. Officer Kevin Blake holds his left elbow as they walk inside. Ryan Miller takes the right side. A ceiling camera in the intake area records the entire walk. There are no civilians in the area. At the booking desk, an officer on duty entered information into a computer. Wallet, phone, and watch were placed in a plastic tray. The handcuffs were not yet removed. "You're being detained," Ryan Miller said as he signed the form. Daniel Carter replied, "I'm requesting a lawyer." There was no further response. Officer Kevin Blake led him into interrogation room number 2. The room had a metal table bolted to the floor. A ceiling camera was mounted in the upper right corner. The handcuffs were locked to an iron ring on the tabletop. The door closed. The wall clock showed 7:23 p.m. No water was placed on the table. No documents were brought in. An hour passed. No one entered. The ceiling camera continued to record. The hallway outside had footsteps, but they didn't stop at the door. At 8:37 p.m., Captain Robert Hayes and Ryan Miller opened the door. The two of them sat across from Carter. Officer Kevin Blake stood near the door. Captain Robert Hayes said, "Do you have anything to declare?" Daniel Carter answered, "I'm requesting a lawyer." Ryan Miller placed a few blank sheets of paper in front of Carter. No pen was offered. After a few minutes, all three left the room. The door closed. The handcuffs were still locked to the metal table. The handcuffs were still locked to the iron ring on the metal table when the wall clock turned to 10:52 p.m. The main door in the outside hallway was thrown open. 8 people in dark windbreakers entered the reception area. The letters FBI were printed in yellow on their backs. Supervisor Emily Brooks led the way. Holding a file with a federal seal, the officer on duty stood up from his chair. Before he could speak, Emily Brooks placed the file on the metal counter. "We have a federal warrant." The paper was slid across the counter. The ceiling camera recorded the review of each page. Captain Robert Hayes came out of his office in the back. About 15 feet from the counter. "Who are you talking about?" Emily Brooks replied. "Special Agent Daniel Carter." Officer Ryan Miller was sitting at a desk writing a report. About 12 feet from the counter, he lifted his head and looked toward the door. Officer Kevin Blake stepped out of the break room. Stopping in the middle of the hallway, 2 other agents walked straight toward interrogation room number 2. The door opened with a key card. Daniel Carter was still sitting at the table, his hands locked to the iron ring. One agent cut the lock connecting the cuffs to the table. The cuffs were removed from his wrists. An agent asked, "Are you able to walk?" Daniel Carter stood up. He rotated his right shoulder in a full circle. Nothing more was said. 3 other agents began seizing equipment. They demanded all body cameras be placed on a table. 47 cameras were lined up in a row. 12 hard drives from the patrol cars were removed. The radio dispatch recording system was backed up on site. Supervisor Emily Brooks stood in the middle of the lobby. She read the warrant number aloud. Captain Robert Hayes held his phone, but didn't move from his spot. Officer Ryan Miller said, "This is a setup." Emily Brooks replied, "Everything has been recorded." No other words were spoken in the lobby for several seconds. An agent photographed the broken glass on the Audi in the parking lot. The image already transmitted to a server. 3 videos from civilians were downloaded using a direct cable connection. By 12:30 a.m., Daniel Carter left the station with the federal team. Their vehicles left the rear parking lot in silence. The lights on the local patrol cars were off. The next morning, video from the CVS parking lot appeared online. Images of the shattered glass and the handcuffs spread quickly. The local paper published an article at 9:47 a.m. The name Daniel Carter was confirmed as a federal agent. 3 days later, the Department of Justice announced a formal investigation. Officer Ryan Miller, Officer Kevin Blake, and Captain Robert Hayes were suspended. The notice was posted on the bulletin board in the lobby. 3 weeks later, a federal indictment was filed in district court. Ryan Miller faced 4 criminal counts. Kevin Blake faced 2 counts. Robert Hayes faced 2 counts related to internal records. Daniel Carter filed a civil rights lawsuit seeking $10 million in damages. The suit named the city and each individual involved. The city hired a private law firm to represent them. A month later, the city council held a public meeting. 17 officers had their contracts terminated. 9 others were suspended and reassigned to desk duty. The body camera policy was amended, requiring continuous activation during all public encounters. In February of the following year, The city reached a civil settlement. $10 million was paid to Daniel Carter. $2 million. $400,000 in legal fees were paid separately. The total cost exceeded $12 million. Ryan Miller received 6 years in federal prison. Kevin Blake received 1 year of probation. Robert Hayes received 4 years in prison and lost his pension. Their records were entered into a national database. The Deerfield Police Department was placed under federal oversight for 5 years. Quarterly reports had to be submitted to the Department of Justice. The city budget was adjusted to cover the increase in insurance costs. Daniel Carter returned to work after 8 weeks of physical therapy. According to medical records, the case file was closed after all civil and criminal proceedings were completed. I think the records have made clear what the cameras recorded and what the courts decided. Do you think the sentences and the settlement were enough? If you think this story is worth more people knowing about, please share, leave a comment, and subscribe to the Power Misplaced Stories channel.